Well, I get to talk to Chase Terwilliger, CEO of CBDistillery. They are the name to remember when it comes to CBD products. Chase is from Minnesota. I don't know a lot about CBD and the various parts of the cannabis plant just yet, but I want to talk to Chase about some of the benefits of CBD, some of the preconceived notions about CBD, and what's on the horizon for CBD.
This is Twin Cities CEO You Should Know, powered by iHeartMedia.
Well, go ahead and tell us your name, your title, and your company name.
Yeah, Chase Terwilliger, CEO of CBDistillery.
Now, I want to ask you a little bit about CBD because I think a lot of people maybe still at this point don't know exactly what it is. Can you explain CBD a little bit?
Yeah, so CBD is one of 100 plus cannabinoids in the cannabis plant. And so when I say cannabis, most people think of marijuana. And we've been trained to think that way, but there's a lot more components in that plant that have been used in a medicinal way for centuries upon centuries. And so CBD is one of those cannabinoids in the plant. The other main one is THC. THC is the one that gets you high. Mm-hmm. Our products are wellness focused, medical focused, and so we incorporate CBD into our products.
And when you mention products, like what's the sort of depth and breadth of the products?
Yeah, most of them are ingestible products. And so we have gummies, just typical dietary supplements, form factors. So soft gels, gummies. We do have tinctures as well that do really well. So it's like a CBD full spectrum oil mixed in with some MCT oil. And then we also have a small topical line as well that does really well for us. So people with aches and pains can use this topical product and rub it on the area and get some relief. Do
you find that people use these products every day or less often than that, more often?
Yeah, about 75% of our customers use it daily, mostly on the ingestible side. And then topicals are more use case. Hey, I just exercised and have some soreness, so let me use the product. But on the ingestible side, they're very consistent. People really, once they start taking CBD, it gets put into their wellness routine, and it's a really cool opportunity that we have at CBDistillery because we change people's quality of life. And people, once they start taking the product, realize that it's a dramatic increase in their quality of life, and therefore, want to take it every day.
Are you a user of the products, and have you seen a big increase in quality of life?
Yeah, I am. When I got into this industry, I had no idea what CBD was. I obviously knew what cannabis was. I'm a Minnesota native, but I've moved to Colorado, so it's hard to not walk down the street and try and figure out what marijuana or cannabis is. But I knew nothing about the plant, and I got in and I got asked to be a consultant at first, and then later the CEO. But when I was trying to figure out what CBD was, I said, hey, I'll take this product, and it dramatically helped me with some of the things that I was battling. And then at night, one of those things I was battling was just not being able to sleep at night. My head just races, like a lot of people that I talk to, a lot of work stuff and just trying to solve problems. And taking CBD at night has been a game changer for me. And so that's where I take it the most. And then I do take some in the morning too, to just kind of get my body back to homeostasis.
Speaking of people's minds racing, because I think in the last 2 years, that's a lot of us all the time, or, maybe a little bit less, but whatever. Or maybe we've always had that problem. But have you seen an increase in sales and use in the last, since COVID started?
We've seen more loyal customers. And so obviously, like any business, we have people that try it and maybe they don't get the desired effects. We have a 60-day money-back guarantee, so we give them their money back and off on their way. But most of our customers, when they come in, they do get a benefit from it. And those customers we've seen get really loyal and start to use it again on that daily. We've seen the daily numbers go up from about 55% a couple of years ago. 55% of our customers were using it daily. Now it's again at 75% that they're using it daily.
Has your business itself changed in the last 2 years with COVID?
It has changed. Leading up into COVID, we had about 50% of our sales as retailers. So Hy-Vee in Minneapolis carried it for a bit, and some others, and a lot of independent retailers. And unfortunately, those kind of went away. And so a lot of our business moved online. So that's probably the biggest change of our business. We're at now almost 90% of our business is all e-com. As far as the consumer base, 2 years ago, CBD was everywhere, right? It was the next new thing. So we had a lot of people try. And now we have a different consumer base. They're not as much people trying. It's people that know the products, know exactly what they're looking for, but what they need is a trusted and reliable source. We're one of the, 2 or 3 that really are up to the FDA standards and above the standards, so we can provide our customers a safe and consistent product. And so we get a lot of people from other CBD companies coming over to CBDistillery to make sure that they have a safe and consistent product.
You mentioned that you were a consultant before you started as CEO. You've been on as CEO since 2017. What makes CBDistillery a great place to work?
Yeah, so I think the number one is the mission the company has to provide cannabinoids to the world and give people a healthy, all-natural alternative to some other things they may be taking. I have to be careful about what I say as far as on the medical side of things right now, because there's still a lot of science to do. But our company has a relentless passion, not only for the consumer, but for the plant, and to get a safe, consistent product to the consumer. Our number one value as a company is driven to succeed the right way. And that has been the number one value since we started in 2016. And it really, again, goes back to making sure we have a good customer experience, improving their quality of life, and then here internally, the culture, it leads into the culture of always doing the right thing and doing what's best for the customer. So really happy about the culture here at CBDistillery.
It sounds like there's some regulation that's out there. Is that difficult to navigate, or do you have people who figure that out?
It's very difficult to navigate. So in 2008, so hemp was legalized in 2014. In 2018, they specified that CBD was legal. Since then, it's been up to the FDA to put in regulations, just like any dietary supplement industry. And they haven't put in those regulations, but the states all have put in their own regulations. And so, it's what it creates is a lot of confusion for the consumer. They don't know, I mentioned it earlier, they don't know if they're getting a safe, consistent, reliable product because there's nobody enforcing it. The FDA coming in and saying, hey, you're doing things the wrong way. States, it's really challenging because Minnesota may have some hemp laws, some CBD laws, but here in Colorado, we have different ones. I don't think the state of Minnesota is going to come to Colorado and knock on my door or a competitor's door that's not doing it right and say, hey, you got to stop selling. So there's still a lot to be figured out. And so from the consumer perspective, it's difficult to figure out what's the right company to buy from.
You got an MBA from, is it Arizona State?
Yep.
ASU?
Yep. Harvard West. Yeah.
Then you ran and sold a startup technology company, I'm told, and then you wanted to run an organization that would change the world. So tell me a little bit more about where you are with that.
I started my career in medical device. Medical device is a great industry. But one of the things that I always had a little bit of difficulties with was, and for my particular division, we were selling products that were very low cost for a high amount. And so, great, we were improving quality of life for the patients that were using it, but ethically it was challenging because the margins were just absolutely astronomical. And then after that, I actually got into tech, as you mentioned, and the technology company, it's still around. It's called Silver Nest. It's a roommate matching platform for baby boomers and empty nesters. So people who want to rent out a room in their house more long-term, it's kind of Match.com meets Airbnb. it's a great company. But again, it was more on that kind of purpose side of things. And then I fell into, during that, I also was doing some consultant jobs on the side, and I fell into this CBD or CBDistillery. And, you know, like you said, I wanted to look for something that could change the world. And it was, I'll never forget the first couple of months at the job. I'm like, is this snake oil? What is this? I mentioned earlier, I never heard of this. And shortly thereafter, the testimonials started coming in. And it was, you know, talking about how, hey, I gave this to my friends. I gave this to my family members, and I use it for myself. And, you know, I can't talk about the medical claims on this call, but really, people were getting a great benefit from the product, and one that they were coming back for time and time again, and then recommending to families. So it was this white space, and this is when CBD wasn't really even a thing. And so really saw the opportunity that we can make a huge impact and improve quality of life at the same time. And we were able to do that. We're, you know, a top 3 CBD company in the world. The other 2 were public companies and had a lot more firepower behind them. And we were smarter and just had a better products, and really did everything for the customer. And that was always the focal point. And now we actually are a public company as of, you know, about 60 days ago.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you. Yeah, it's exciting, really exciting. So we were acquired by a larger company called Village Farms. They're a 30-year-old produce grower. So you'll find them in all your supermarkets. They sell tomatoes, cucumbers, and peppers. But they have, again, a relentless passion for the customer. They really focus on sustainability, and kind of the next evolution of their business is wellness products and plant-based wellness.
It sounds like you really know your consumer, your customer. What does it mean to be the leader of I've got a hashtag here, CBD Movement. What does it mean to be the leader of that?
Yeah, so there's a few things. One, I mentioned it earlier, doing things the right way, not cutting corners. Most of our competitors cut corners here and there, and it's at the consumer's expense. Because if you give the consumer a bad product, they're not going to come back. They're going to be turned off from the category, which, okay, dollars wise, that's not great. But more importantly, now that consumer never gets to experience what the product really is, and they have a bad taste in their mouth, and they should. So number 1 is doing things the right way. Number 2 is just education, educating the consumer. You asked a lot of the questions already about what is CBD? Does it get you high? What are the different form factors? Educating the consumer there, and then providing science to back up those claims and help people understand it. And that's actually one of the things that we're really working hard for, is to get the science behind everything. That's the next evolution in this industry. The last thing is to be leaders of the CBD movement, you really have to do not necessarily what's good for CBDistillery at all times, but what's good for the industry. An example of that is, we've put down millions of dollars on safety studies that the whole industry can use, making sure that there's no problems with liver toxicity. That's something that has been thrown around, and we were able to nullify that, which was great. And again, we did so and made that investment on behalf of the industry.
You mentioned that you went public, so we kind of got into this a little bit, but what is your vision for the company long term?
Yeah, so we're an alternative wellness company. We'll continue to be in cannabinoids for the foreseeable future. What that means is it's not just CBD. There's, again, 99 plus other cannabinoids in the plant that we and our R&D team are working on taking out, doing scientific studies, figuring out why people should use this product, if there's a benefit, if there isn't, and then getting it in the consumer's hands. And so you're already, we just came out with last week a new line called the Synergy Collection. And so we're not only just selling CBD anymore, it's CBD and something else. So we have CBD and CBN, which is another minor cannabinoid that's used for sleep. CBD, and we have a functional mushroom. So functional mushrooms are used to help filter your system. And so we have CBD and functional mushrooms, CBD and kava, which is relaxing. CBD and CBDA, which is another minor cannabinoid. I could keep on going on.
I was going to say, you have an endless supply of possible products down the line.
Right. But long story short, we're going to be an alternative wellness company. We're going to continue to focus on plant-based, all-natural alternatives, and specifically in cannabinoids.
We're talking to Chase Terwilliger from CBDistillery. Why is it important to control all aspects of the business from seed to sale? It's all about quality.
This is an immature industry. Even though this plant has been used for centuries upon centuries, it was outlawed for 40, 50 years before 2014. And so when there's an industry like this, there's a lot of different players. There's no consolidation of businesses quite yet, or it's just starting right now. And so you may have a grower in Kentucky that was growing tobacco and now growing high strain CBD. You may have an extractor, because after you harvest the plant, you need to extract out the CBD. You may have an extractor that has no experience. And then you have a brand and a quality team that needs to get a high quality, consistent product out the door. There's just a lot of moving pieces there. And so we said, we can trust ourselves and we can be responsible for ourselves. And so we're going to control the whole seed to sale process. We're going to test through third-party labs the whole entire process, which we test 6 to 8 times depending on the product before it actually hits the consumer. And we have full traceability through that product. So it's really about controlling the quality in this immature market.
Your business is all about CBD, and I just realized there's sort of another three-letter abbreviation for something that's happening right now, SCD, supply chain disruption, which we've heard probably more about in the last 3 months than, way back when the pandemic started. Have you had any issues with supply chain disruptions?
So we're extremely fortunate there. We haven't. We buy everything here in the U.S., haven't had issues there, and we control our whole seed to sale. The only thing that we've had an issue with is boxes. Our boxing manufacturer. I couldn't believe it.
It's always something, right?
Yeah, there's always something.
What are your plans for as we move closer to 2022? Hard to believe, but what are your plans moving forward?
Yeah, we're going to continue to expand in our Synergy line that I was talking about, the Synergy Collection, more minor cannabinoids, more other functional ingredients combined with CBD. And then the biggest thing for us is the same been in the past, obviously. One, making sure that we're listening to our customers and getting them the products that they want. And then thinking more long-term, pushing our regulators and our congressmen and women to regulate this product because it's a huge benefit for the consumer, obviously for the CBD companies that are doing it the right way, but also for the consumer. So we'll continue to push that really hard and make sure that we're not only educating our consumers, but educating our congressmen and women to make sure they push regulation through.
Okay, so speaking of regulation, and just when I started seeing CBD come into the forefront here, and my perceptions, and before I really knew more about what it is, but what do you think are some misinterpretations about the industry? And speaking of regulation, do you see just brick walls sometimes, or are people willing to listen?
I wouldn't call them brick walls. I'd call them maybe wooden walls that we can break through. It's just about how many people can we get on the other side of that wall to break through the wall.
Nice.
They need to be talking to their congressmen and women. We have a big campaign right now. I sit on the board of the U.S. Hemp Roundtable, and we have a huge campaign right now that's #RegulateCBDNow. Again, CBD was legalized, but now it's up to the FDA to put in regulations and regulate it like a dietary supplement so consumers can get a safe and consistent product. And that part has not happened. So Congress is actually starting to step in and get interest into pushing it through to the FDA and saying, hey, you guys need to regulate this and you need to regulate it now.
So people should contact their U.S. legislators, I guess, then their Congress people and the senators. And
yeah, the easiest way, if people are interested, is to go to hempsupporter.com, and it's an easy couple clicks of the button to send your senator a message about CBD, and you can obviously edit it how you'd like, but it's a good way to make sure that you're sending the message to the right place.
Hempsupporter.com. You talked about the communities where people are. What are some of the ways that you are giving back at CB Distillery?
Yeah, that's important to our culture. As I mentioned, we're very purpose-driven at CB Distillery. I don't think there's any better way to put it. And one of the things is to give back. There, it just is ingrained. That's what people want to do. It's great when I have people lined up at my door, and it's not a business problem. It's, hey, let's continue. Here's another organization that we'd like to give back to. I'd say the two biggest ones, because we do kind of take the shotgun approach and we give to a lot of different organizations. The two biggest ones would probably be anything that has to do with veterans. So we've given back to the Wounded Warrior Project and a number of others. The CEO of our holding company, Village Farms, is a 30-year Navy vet. And so again, giving back to veterans is really, really important to us. And so you'll see sales that will give 10% of proceeds back to veterans, things like that. And then we're also really passionate about serving underserved communities. We partner with the Conscious Alliance. Conscious Alliance provides food and meals to the underserved communities. And last year alone, we contributed over 30,000 meals, and we're hoping to up that this year.
Do you have veterans that have directly benefited from your products?
Yeah, those are the best, and that's what Mike, our CEO, loves having those conversations with vets.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for doing that. Thank you for your support of our veterans, for sure. What else would you like the Twin Cities community to know about CB Distillery?
Specifically for CB Distillery, know that you're getting you have a trusted provider for CBD and all CBD products. One that provides quality, one that's looking out for you, and one that's listening also to the consumer at all time to figure out what, this is still, again, an immature market. There's a lot of people using this product to improve their quality of life. The products are just getting better and better, and the only way we can do that is through feedback from our customers. And
I asked you about some of your products. What are your newest products that people might not know about in that list?
We just came out with a new product in September. It's a full spectrum CBD oil gummy, and it's been our best seller of all time. People just are absolutely loving the products. I'll get a little technical here, but it not only has full spectrum CBD oil, but we're the only company that I'm aware of that have been able to leave the terpenes, which are the natural oils of the plant, within that gummy. And so there are added benefits from those essential oils from the plant that are helping. So that's a great product for us right now, and we'll continue to expand on that product line.
Nice. If people want to learn more, how can they find out more?
CBDistillery.com.
And then to try to help the process along as far as the federal government goes with the regulation, what was that website again?
Hempsupporter.com.
Hempsupporter.com. Probably have a link to that on the website too, I'm guessing.
Yep.
Well, thanks again for joining us today, and much continued success to you and the company, CB Distillery.
Thanks for having me.
Again, that's a CEO you should know, Chase Terwilliger from CB Distillery. They are the name when it comes to CBD products. He's from Minnesota. To get in touch, CBDistillery.com, and to help the process, to help more people get educated about CBD, visit hempsupporter.com.
That was Twin Cities CEO You Should Know, powered by iHeartMedia.